last week. No, not last week. There was the cut that you did, and you performed very poorly. I will not judge you on the first cut because maybe you thought it was very easy. But come this second cut, be very careful when you're answering questions. Read those questions carefully. Reason before you tick the answer. Don't fall in love with an answer. Read, reason, and then pick the right answer. It's not my joy that you fail this particular exam or that you fail a coursework. No, it's not the joy. My joy is that you do your exam and you pass your exam. That is my joy. So therefore, what we are saying is this: be ready for the exam, for the cut that is coming next week. Be very ready, prepare for it accordingly. I don't want to see people failing. Last cut that we did, we had even an individual getting a 0. That is a very big shame. And your parent is paying fee for you, or maybe you are paying fee for yourself. That is very bad. That's very bad. So today, I don't want to talk so much about that. Again, assignment 2 is already marked. I've already marked assignment 2. You can check what you got. I've already marked. Actually, the reason as to why I'm joining the class 20 minutes late is because I was trying to finalize on the marking of assignment 2. So that assignment is already marked. You can see your grade as soon as you wish. Even now, those who are using laptop, you can minimize the screen and check your mark. So we are saying this, that be ready to sit for that exam or for that cut that is coming. So your exam will be starting. It's good that I tell you when the exam is starting. Your exam is starting on 6th of December. That will be on a Monday, and it will run for a whole week until Friday. So you have how many weeks to the exam? You have 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks to the exam. So it is good that now you prepare well in advance so that you don't do what? You don't shock yourself. So in other words, allow me to share my screen so that we can start this particular class. Allow me to share my screen so that we can start our topic. And I hope you can see the topic. I think not these ones. I think I'm sharing you the wrong notes. I'm sharing you the wrong notes.
Yeah.
I'm sharing you the wrong notes. Allow me to share you the right ones. Let me share the right notes. I hope you can see my screen. Why am I sharing the wrong notes? Just give me some time. Give me a minute. Thank you for your patience. I hope you can see my screen. Hope you can see my screen. Hatukuwa tumemaliza class. Kuna watu wanauliza hapa, mwalimu, class imeisha? Inawezaje isha dakika mbili? I hope you can see my screen. Let me ask some few individuals. Kipkoech Limo, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you, Kipkoech. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Chepkurui Wangoi Wahio, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you, Wangoi. Now, today we are going to learn about library skills. We're going to learn about library skills. Why are we learning about library skills? If you are a student, you cannot do away with a place called library. If you are a scholar, if you are an academician, if you are a philosopher, if you are a researcher, if you are a knowledge seeker, there is no way we can talk about other things and fail to talk about the library. The library is a place where we gain knowledge. A library is where we get information in case we are faced with a problem. A library is where we get solutions to problems. Solution to problems that cannot be explained, we go to the library to seek for that solution. So in other words, a library is a very important place for us, for students like us. And therefore, this one rings a bell to a topic that we covered known as reading skills. So I'll be talking about reading, and at the same time, I'll be talking about the library and so on and so forth. So what is a library? A library is simply a collection of well-documented books. To document means they are well kept. So a library is a collection of well-documented books. It's a collection of journals, a collection of newspapers and other forms of information that is printed and unprinted. So for example, if you visit any library, whether you are visiting a national library, whether you are visiting a university library, whether you are visiting a special library, you will find that they have printed books and they have non-printed books. Non-printed books are those books that are put in soft copy. Like if you visit our university library, the librarian will be able to tell you that we have a soft copy of a certain book. Can we give you the soft copy? The best thing is that if they give you a soft copy, it is yours and yours forever. You don't return it back. So it is a collection of well-documented books, journals, newspapers, and other forms of information that is printed and non-printed. So a university student, we are university students, and we are required to be self-reliant. When I started this class, I said that it is good that we are maturing up. And the moment we move from one class to another, we become self-reliant. You come to realize, oh, I don't need this person's help. I can go to the library alone. I can choose whatever book I want, and I can sit down and read whatever topics I wish. You do not require maybe the teacher to guide you every now and then. You can also make your own choice. So your desire for knowledge, it cannot be satisfied by your teachers alone. Bina, I cannot satisfy your desire for knowledge. Who else? Kithome Gloria, I cannot satisfy your desire for knowledge. Another person, Chepkrui Husna, I cannot satisfy your desire for knowledge. The teacher cannot have all the answers to the questions that you have. They can't. They cannot have all the answers to the questions that you have. Therefore, you as a student, you have to do a lot of searching. You have to do a lot of searching and searching that will take you from, maybe searching can also be in a form of a debate. You can have a debate, debating with people, discussing with people, observing what is existing in the world, and finding what others have done or written. And finding how others have done or written, you may maybe, for example, visit the library. Look at some manuscripts that were written. Look at some projects that were done by others. Apart from that, we usually give you assignments. For some of us, don't look at how people have done the assignment. You just do your assignment blindly. It is all, I'm not saying that it is bad to copy someone's assignment, but it is also good to check at how people are doing their assignments so that you can check whether you're on the right track or whether you're on the wrong track. I was once a student like you, and most of the time you are given assignment that required you to think. And most of the time, I would visit several friends of mine and I would check, am I doing the right thing? This question is too difficult. I'm even thinking that I'm doing, I think that I'm not doing the right thing. So you'd confirm with others. You could actually look at each other's assignment and see whether you are on the right track or not. But looking at other people's assignment does not mean that you copy. No, you are checking, am I doing the right thing? Not copying like some of us does. The assignment that I've just marked, I've seen some people have copied from others. Now you wonder, ulikuja university kucopy ama what did you come to do? Copying someone's assignment is not learning. You're even lying to yourself. Now, who will do the exam for you? So you therefore need to learn how to use the library, whether you like it or not. As long as you're a student, as long as you're a philosopher, as long as you're an academician, as long as you are into research, as long as you are into knowledge seeking, as long as you are into discovery, as long as you are in all those areas, then you need to learn how to use the library. That is definition number one. Definition number two, we can say that a library is a collection of selected information resources. A collection of selected information resources which are organized and preserved for reading, for studying, and consultation. How then do we put consultation there? The moment you get into the library and you pick on a book that you want to read, you are consulting. Sio lazima kuwe na mtu hapo karibu ati mnanong'onezana, muna discuss. No, with the moment you open a book, maybe for example, a certain topic, and you start reading on that topic, you are consulting with yourself and with the book. So therefore, a library is a collection of selected information resources which are organized. And when you talk about selected information resources, this one now we are targeting, for example, there are some libraries that are very special. If you go, for example, for a library in KARI, Kenya Research Institute, Kenya Agricultural Research Institute, or the other one is Kenya Research Institute. You're going to realize that the books that are stocked in their library, they are all about agriculture, they are all about research. So those are special libraries. And therefore, a library then, from definition number 2, is a collection of selected information resources, which are organized and preserved for reading, preserved for studying, and preserved for consultation. Therefore, from these two definitions, there are keywords. There are keywords. Keyword number 1 is selected. Keyword number 2 is organized. Keyword number 2 is organized. So when you look at and keyword number 3 is preserved from the two definitions, and reading, studying, and consultation. From even the what we call the second definition, you can see organized, preserved for reading, studying, and consultation. Now let's look at these 3 words. No, these 4 words. What is selected? You're going to realize that most universities select their materials. Like if you go to Zitech University, they have selected their materials. You're not going to find maybe some books. If you go to KARI, Kenya Agricultural Research Institute, the books that you find there, you might not necessarily find them at Zitech University. You might not necessarily find them at maybe University of Nairobi Library. You might also not find them at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technologies Library. So most university libraries select their material using internationally accepted principles of selection and correction selection tools. So all materials are acquired through gifts and donations. So when you talk about materials that are acquired through gifts and donation, you have had MPs, like I remember very well, there is this primary school in Kisii County called Nyakemincha Primary School. This Nyakemincha Primary School, I remember very well when Sam Ongeri was the Minister for Education. He was the one who was reading. There was the best performed, those schools that had performed very well in KCPE and those that had performed very poorly. And when he was presenting these results, he was very amused because of the name of the school, because Nyakemincha simply means the tail. And this school, to say the truth, it was at the tail end as far as what we call, as far as performance is concerned. And they performed very poorly. Then some years or maybe some months back later, there was this, was it Macmillan Library? No, Macmillan Publishers. They went there and donated some books for this school. So in other words, sometimes we may receive books, donation from MPs, from publishers, from other universities, or from even the government. So therefore, we are saying that a library usually stock selected books. Number 2, we are talking about organized. So it is only possible to go to the library and find a book that you want, only and only if that library has got organized books. Like for example, if you visit your library and you say, I want a communication skills book, you will be told, go to shelf number 3 on the left. All those books that are there are communication skills book. You can also say, I want a book by Principles of Management, those who are doing Principles of Management, by maybe Salemi. You go to the librarian, he will direct you, tell you, go to the right side corner, and then you will find all the books for Principles of Management. What does that tell you? It tells you that a library is a place where books are organized. They are properly organized materials by means of classifying and cataloging. By classifying library materials, you realize that accessing those books becomes very easy. If you've been to a library and then the librarian takes you right, left, center, then just know that that library is a disorganized one. Because a good and organized library, then accessing the books or being able to get the books becomes very easy. Number 3, it is preserved. So preservation is the maintenance of library materials in their original condition through retention and proper care. For example, if you borrow a book in the library, maybe you borrowed it and it was very well. It was very well kept. And then on returning the book, some papers are out, some pages are not found, and so on and so forth. So it is the work of the librarian to ensure that all the pages are kept properly and they are glued together and they are bound, because the main aim of a library is to preserve those books. Some of the libraries, if you buy books or if you borrow books from them and you return them and they are tattered, then they do what? They charge you or they tell you to buy a new book. Because the main purpose of a library is to do what? Is to take care of materials that are damaged so that they can be preserved through restoration. And when you talk about restoration, this is a procedure that improves the condition of damaged objects and attempts to reclaim or attempts to put it into its original condition. Then you're also told another one characteristic of library is there is reading, studying, and consultation. So library materials are meant for leisure. So if you go to the library, you will see materials that are meant for leisure reading. You will see magazines there. You will see some novels there. You will see some CDs that are entertaining CD or compact disc. Recreation, they are meant for study. For example, if you go to a certain library, because I've visited so many libraries, by the way. I've visited the government library. I've visited University of Nairobi Library, that is Jomo Kenyatta University. I've visited JKUAT Library, and I've also visited Kenyatta University's library. So I've visited several libraries, and I can actually tell you that there are various books there. There are textbooks there for consultation. There are reference materials there. You can reference. I've also visited archives. Those people who go to town, there is archives in Nairobi next to almost adjacent to Tom Mboya statue. And when you get to archives, there are also what we call newspapers. Newspapers are there. So you want to find or to get a newspaper that was published in 1969, you can still find it in the archives. So then, what is the importance of teaching library skills? Why do we teach library skills to students? So, number one, most of the students in Kenya have not had an opportunity to use well-organized libraries. And this is because at both primary and secondary levels in Kenya, libraries hardly exist, and where they exist, they are poorly organized with small collection of material, and therefore students joining the university need to be taught information handling skills. So in other words, we are saying this, some of us, when you look at some of us, we went to various schools. We went to various schools. And in fact, some schools that we went, we did not even have library. We were just hearing of library. We didn't have the opportunity to access the library. And if some libraries existed, then we had the most started books there. We had the most disorganized, disorganized books there. Or maybe there was poorest, poor even, you could not even be able to do what? To access the books properly. So that is why we teach students who join university library skills. We usually teach them. Number two, currently, there is more emphasis that is put on student-oriented learning, where the lecturer's role is to provide skeleton notes. The notes that we give to students, we don't give 100%. You cannot say, now that I'm covering library skills, I have covered everything about the library. No. What I give you as a lecturer, what the lecturer gives you is skeleton notes. And therefore, the next thing that remains, the burden lies on you to go and fill the notes through the information that is required. So you need to go to the library. Now that we have learned library skills, learn more about library skills. And you realize that there is a lot of information that we have not covered in today's lesson. And that's why a lecturer gives a course outline to a student so that you can look at a topic, go and read before time, or go and read before we cover that topic, and so that you, if you may have, or if you have a question, you can come with a question and we can even expound on it. So whenever you are given notes by your lecturer, I'm not saying that you should rely 100% on the notes. It is good that you read and also go back to the library and read more details. Number three, the importance of the library or teaching library skills is the growth of seminar and tutorial teaching, especially in project work in undergraduate courses, has provided the need for the use of the library. So that is it. So the growth of seminars and tutorial teaching, especially in project work in undergraduate courses, has also provided need for the study of library skills. Those people, and I urge all of us, if you have the potential, it is good also to do diploma and degree also. This university has got degree programs, it has got diploma programs. And as you proceed with your diploma, you'll find yourself doing a project. And in this project, it will require you to visit the library more frequently. Project is not a joke. You'll have to visit the library more frequently. And this is why we have point number 3, that the growth of seminars and tutorial teaching, especially in project work in undergraduate courses, has provided the need for the use of the library. So let's look at the aims of the library. We have how many aims? We have 4 aims. We have 4 aims of the library. Number 1 is to store a wide range of academic material. So the main reason and the main aim, or the main sole aim of a library, is to store wide academic materials in order to facilitate independent academic pursuit for both students and staff. If you go to, for example, many organizations, I failed to even explain to you. I've also visited Kenya Revenue Authority Library. I've also visited Kenya Power and Lighting Company's library. I've visited so many libraries. And the reason as to why I was visiting the library is to gain knowledge from them, to gain knowledge and to gain access to the materials. So I've visited approximately like 20 libraries. It's only that I cannot mention them. So In other words, we are saying that the aim of a library is to store academic materials in order to facilitate independent academic pursuit for both students and staff. So we have staffs who would want maybe to pursue academics further. And therefore, it is prudent of the organization to have a library of its own. Like when you talk about Kenya Agricultural Research Institute, they have their own library. For what purposes? Because it has staff, and some staff would want even to pursue academics or education further. So the library is for that issue, or for that purpose. Also, the purpose of a library or the aim of a library is to foster and create interest among students and staff to interact with materials available in the library. So it is to encourage staff and even the students to go and interact with the materials that are in the library. And number 3 is to assist students to become more effective in independent research. Just like we said, if you're going to pursue a diploma, or maybe you're going to pursue your degree, or maybe pursue your bachelor's, then no bachelor's or maybe master's degree, then you will have the library. Library will become your friend. So the library assists students to become more effective in independent research, that you can go to the library and do your own research. Not only that academic research, but there is also some research that we do. Maybe you are looking at maybe home remedies of fighting flu or a cold. You can visit the library and read on books that target on cold and flu. You can visit the library. That is a small research that you're doing. It doesn't have to be the academic research that we know. Number 4 is to encourage students and staff to explore new things as well as learn more of the familiar ones. So the major reason as to why we have library is to encourage you as a student to go and learn new things. That's why the library has got old books and new books. Books that were published in 1989. If you visit University of Nairobi Library, you will find books that were published even in 1980, 1960, 1970s. And we also have books that were published in the year 2021. They are there in the library. So it tells you that those who seek to know new things will be able to learn them. And those who are seeking to understand how something started or to learn the history of something can still go to those books that were published in 1970s and 1960s. So types, therefore, this one takes us to types of libraries. This one takes us to types of libraries. So there are at least 5 types of libraries, especially in Kenya. We are not talking about Britain or any other country. We're talking about Kenya. So there are at least 5 types of libraries in Kenya. Number 1 is the National Library. Number 2, Public Library. Number 3, Academic Library. Number 4, Private Library. And number 5, Special Library. So we start with the Public Library. The Public Library. So when you talk about public libraries, these are libraries provided for the public from the public funds through a local authority or the Ministry of Local Government. Like when you come to Nairobi, there is a library that is this library is situated in, I think it is a community. Yeah, community. Opposite, I think it is opposite, what do you call it? NHIF, something like that. Or maybe around that area, there is a library. And this library is known as, we can call it what? A public library. It is meant for the public. If you go there, because I visited there a long time ago, you will find that you can get in as long as you are a Kenyan, and you can read some books there. You can do your research. The only thing that you cannot do, you cannot borrow a book unless you are a member of that library. So you have to register as a member by paying a small fee, and then you will be given a permission of maybe you can borrow a book. I don't know for how long, because it depends what kind of a book are you borrowing. If you're borrowing a book that is a reference material, you are most likely given hours, like 2 hours or 3 hours, or maybe a short run section, of which we are going to look at. So it is a library. If you go to Nakuru, then when I was in primary school, there is a library that I used to visit. And this library is somewhere known as, next to NYS, those who live in Nakuru, or maybe probably we can say this school called Flamingo Secondary School. There is a library around there. That library, I used to visit that library often when I was in primary school. That library is meant for the public. You will find books for primary school kids, books for secondary school kids, books for university students, and so on and so forth. So those libraries, they have been built by the local government through, by being provided funds that comes from the public, of course, by the government. Yes, so we have public libraries. Let's look at the functions of a public library. Number one, they promote reading among grown-ups. Yeah, you can see, just like what I've told you about that library that is in Nakuru, the one that I used to visit often. They promote reading among grown-ups. Among what we call adolescents, these are people who are those who are in primary school, and secondary school, adolescent, even children. If you visit that library, there is a children's section where children are given books and they sit down and they read the books, comic books, cartoon books, those books. If you visit that library, if my memory serves me right, there are also books for the youth. Regardless of the age, then it is expected to encourage continuing education. So those libraries are meant to encourage continuing education. Those libraries, they provide wide range of loan services. So when you talk about loan, we are not talking about money here. Kuna watu wanapenda pesa sana. So when you talk about loan services, we are talking about books. You can be loaned a book. You can be loaned a book. Then when you're given that book, you're given like 2 days or 3 days, and then return that book. Of course, you have to be a member. By paying a small fee, you become a member. When you become a member, then you can be borrowing books. As long as you're not a member, you cannot be allowed to borrow a book. So it provides a wide range of loan services based on systems of individual libraries. So it depends with the library. That is, you can borrow reading material from them. Number 3, this public library, they strive to serve the whole community. They strive to serve the whole community. Everybody in that local. For example, I remember very well, if you'd visit the library when it is too late, those people who like waking up very late at 9, so you are getting to the library at 10, you'll find that the library is so full that you will have to wait for people to get out of the library for you to read, for you to access the library. So they strive to serve the whole community by being supplemented by mobile and traveling libraries, by providing special facilities for special categories of people, and they organize for provision of services for hospitals and jails and other disadvantaged groups. So then we can say this, we can conclude by saying that the public library is built up by their collection that relate to the interests of the local community. So public library, generally, they consider their role to become more passive lending of materials to those who work in many public libraries. So in other words, when you talk about public libraries are meant for the community, for everyone, including children, including teenagers, including the old, including the youth. The public library is meant for the whole community. Then next, number 2, we have national libraries. National libraries. National libraries are also referred to as reference libraries. They're also referred to as reference libraries, and usually books in such libraries are for references only. Books in such libraries are for references only. I don't know whether archives falls into this. If you go to Kenya Archives, you cannot borrow a book there. If you go to Kenya Archives, you cannot borrow a book there. The only thing you can do is to go and access a book. Once you access the book, you leave it there. After reading, leave the book there. So they are meant for reference only. If you go to Kenya Archives, you're going to find so many books. Yeah? So the reference library is a copyright library, since its main function is to collect and preserve books. So the main purpose of a national library is to collect and preserve books, to preserve what we call periodicals. Periodicals are books that are published periodically, like magazines. Magazines, also some newspapers. They are published periodically, and so on and so forth. Newspaper published in the country for posterity and prosperity. So in other words, national libraries, they keep books that are for references only. You don't go there to borrow books. Then we also have special libraries. Special libraries, they contain a collection of books and other materials dealing with limited field of knowledge. For example, for example, when you talk about KEMRI, Kenya Medical Research Institute, if you go to their library, the books that are there are about medical. They are all about medical. So if you want, or if you are a student who is doing maybe a course in medicine, then the best place you can visit is KEMRI. We also have UNEP. We also have KARI, Kenya Agricultural Research Institute. If you're a student pursuing a bachelor's of agriculture, or maybe there is some research that you're doing and you'd want information about the research, maybe it's all about, something like that, you can visit Kenya Agricultural Research Institute. This is a special library intended to serve the needs of specific users. So you don't do communication skills and you say you're going to visit KARI for a communication skills book. You will never find that book there. Why? Because KARI is a special library which is intended to serve the needs of specific users who require detailed information in a limited subject area. And the limited subject area is Agriculture Research Institute, agriculture research or agricultural research. So users usually require up-to-date information promptly, and their request may be for information rather than for a book or a journal. So they are established to meet highly specialized requirements of professional and businesses. Therefore, they are usually attached to official institutions and government departments. Then apart from that, university library has rules and regulations. If you go to university library, you'll find that it has rules and regulations, which are intended to guide students in knowing the accepted and also expected behavior while using both library resources and facilities. Every library has got rules and regulations. There are rules and regulations in every library. There are rules and regulations in every library. You don't go there with phones. You don't go there to chat with your friends on Facebook. You don't go there shouting as though you are in a football pitch or basketball pitch or safari rally ground. No, you don't go there doing that. So library has got various sections. We have various sections in a library, and I'm going to go very fast as far as these sections are concerned. I think no, there's various services, services in a library. Service number one is interlibrary lending service and referral services. So there are various services in a library. And we are talking about interlibrary lending service and referral services. For example, a library in the university, it links with other universities or with other libraries in other universities. And this makes the students and lecturers aware of their libraries and enables them to have access to information in these libraries through interlibrary lending and library cooperation. What do we mean by interlibrary lending services and referral services? We are saying this. For example, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technologies Library can have an affiliation with the ZTech University. So in other words, we are saying that a student from ZTech University can go to Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology and borrow a book and sit there and read. The same case can happen. A student from JKUAT can come to ZTech University Library, borrow a book, read the book, and even do his research or her research. Those ones are called interlibrary lending services and referral services. I used to see this at University of Nairobi, where a student would come from another university, Kenyatta University, and they are allowed to get into the University of Nairobi's library, which is Jomo Kenyatta University. They would go and borrow books, and it was like that. So we have interlibrary lending services. We also have recreational services. In a library, we have recreational services that this section, it offers resources for recreation. So for example, novels, recreation is for fun or something like that. For example, novels and magazines for leisure reading. So the library can also offer facilities to foster personal interests and hobbies by providing information on the study. That's another, this is another service. Another service that a library offers is short loan. Short loan. So when you talk about short loan, the library puts in the reserve collection of books which are in high demand. If you go to so many libraries, you're going to realize that they have short loan section, whereby there are books there, and these books are in high demand, yet the library has only a few copies. So books in these sections are loaned out only for 1 hour. Like sometimes when I visit my library, my university library, I'm given a book and I'm told, Mr. David, I'm giving you 1 hour. This book is not supposed to go anywhere. You're supposed to return it within 1 hour. And if you return it after 1 hour, maybe in the next like 2 hours, you are even penalized. You are penalized for returning the book late because that book is in a high demand and there are so many people on the queue that needs to use the book. So you are given a very short time to use the book. Now that section is known as the short loan services section. Then apart from that section or service, we have reservation services. So here students are allowed to reserve books which they know the library has, but which for one reason or the other are not in the shelves. Why are they not in the shelves? Mainly because they have been borrowed. So you go there and you say, I want a book by Salemi, Principles of Management. Then the librarian tells you that Principles of Management book is with another student. Once he returns, you will be the next. We will be giving the book. So they call you and they tell you now the book is here, come for it. That is reservation service section, whereby you reserve a book and then you are given 2 days and then you return the book. So students reserving the books usually fill what is called reservation form at the issue counter. So you reserve that book. So that hiyo kitabu ikirudi, watakupigia simu wakwambia, hey, Madam so and so, Mr. so and so, the book is here. You still want the book? Then you say yes, and then you go and pick the book. Then another person who needs the book comes and say, I want that book. When can I get it? The librarian will tell you, you will get it in the next 2 days, or maybe in the next 1 day. Then you reserve the book, so that when the person returns the book, they call you to come and pick the book. So that is it. Then we also have general yearbook. So some general yearbooks, updates and information covered by the general encyclopedia are published as annual supplements. So general yearbooks include titles like Compton yearbooks, Reader's Digest. Those who know Reader's Digest, this is a good book. We also have Almanac. We have Almanac, the Europe Yearbook, Guinness Book of Records, and so on and so forth. So hata kama tutashindwa kujua Compton Yearbook and Reader's Digest, I know that we cannot fail to understand the Guinness Book of Records. These books are published yearly. And when they are published yearly, they tell you the new people who have gotten the Guinness Books of those who have been given, who have been put, their names have been put in the Guinness Book of Record. So these ones, they fall under a category, they fall under a section in the library known as the General Yearbook section or service. We also have special yearbook. I want you to read on the special yearbook. Almanac. When you talk about Almanac, this reminds me of a library known as Moi University, no, it's ZTech University, not ZTech, but Jomo Kenyatta, Jomo Kenyatta University, not Jomo Kenyatta, but Jomo Kenyatta University Library at Moi University, at ZTech, at University of Nairobi. Jomo Kenyatta University, University of Nairobi. If you go there, I think the 4th floor, the last floor, is where we have Almanac. Almanac is a special section that contains books and research, theses, and projects that were done by various professors, various doctors, various bachelor students, and diploma students. So if you go there, you'll find books, academic books, research projects that have been done. So Almanac is another section. We also have handbook and manuals. We read on handbook and manuals. And then I think we look at sections of a library. Of course, we have looked at the short loan section. We have the reference section and the Africa, not the Almanac, the one that I was explaining, the last point, the Almanac, is not, I meant Africana. If you go to University of Nairobi, the 4th floor, I think it is 3rd floor or 4th floor, you'll find the Africana. This is where you find theses, you find projects that were done by some lecturers. So in other words, Almanac, these are annual publications. You go there, you'll find that there are some annual publications containing a variety of useful facts of a miscellaneous nature and statistical information. So you will find things like accidents and death records, university flags, countries of the world, accidents and deaths, the books or information that is put there, or information found here includes information on nations of the world. So if you go to the almanac section, this is where you find information about information found on nations of the world, names of the universities, for example, flags of the country, flags of the world, accidents, deaths, and so on and so forth. These ones, you find them in the almanac section. Then we also have the Africana. The Africana is where you find the thesis, the projects, all those, the research works that were done by some scholars or academicians or some philosophers. This is where you find them. They are called National Collection or Africana. We've talked about the lending section, the reference section, and we also have children's section and bibliographic section. All these I want you to read on your own. Kindly, when you receive these notes, go through some sections that we've not gone through of the library. So unless there is a question, I will stop at that point. Any question? Any question? Kuna swali? If there is no question, I would want to say this. For those people who joined us late, maybe 3 weeks ago, or maybe even 4 weeks ago, a month ago, or 1.5 months ago, and maybe you found that we were in topic 4, we were in topic 3, or maybe topic 5, you're supposed to know this. Every time we have a class, we usually put a recording or recording of the class on the portal. So if you go to those portals, the first thing you'll find is the class link. The second thing you'll find is the notes. And the third thing that you're going to find is a link of the recording. So if you click on the recordings, you will be able to see, or you'll be able to hear and listen to what was taught at a particular time, or a particular week, or a particular lesson. So in other words, don't be left behind and don't blame it on anybody. We have all things that you need. We have the notes for you and we have the recordings for you. So what you can do is spare some time, go through the recordings. Maybe if you missed 3 topics, you can go to those topics, read, listen to the recordings. Listen to the recordings, read the notes, and then make short notes. Make short notes for your revision purposes or for your revision. Then you are good to go. You will be at par with the rest. So hata kama haukutujoin wiki ya kwanza, hiyo recording iko hapo. Another thing is that you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, because all those videos have been put to the uploaded on the YouTube. So you can subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you'll be receiving, or you can even be able to see other recordings that you are not able to do what? Other recordings that you are not able to access. So because of that, allow me to go to the class. I want to tell you or to advise you on the link on the to give you the link, not to give you the link, but to do what? To give you the password for the register, and also what else? So I'm sharing the link or the password for the register.
Where's the password?
I've already shared the password. The password is there. So as we speak right now, kuna watu tayari wamechukua register very fast. So we have Boro Waithera has already taken the register. That is the first person so far ambaye amechukua register. Boro Waithera, I know you are here. Wewe ulikuwa unangoja tu register. Haya. Apart from that, we have library skills notes. They are already opened. You can download those notes. Those notes are already opened. And then from there, we also have a discussion forum. And the question is this one. Imagine a computerized information retrieval system of the future. Imagine a computerized information retrieval system of the future that would incorporate the question you have composed, as well as mitigate the fears and anticipate the facility, and mitigate the fears and anticipate and facilitate the user's specific tasks. What would it look like? That is the question. What would it look like? Then from there is a discussion forum for you. A discussion forum for you. And then we have the last quiz. We have quiz for you. We have quiz what? We have quiz. Quiz 8. Quiz 8 is there for you. So unless there is a question, I will stop at that point. Another thing is that when you look at topic 7 is writing skills part 1 and part 2. Writing skills part 1 and part 2. So I found it necessary to also combine part 2 notes. So you will have writing skills part 1 notes. I've also added you writing skills part 2 notes. So make sure that you go through the notes, and remember that next week we are going to have CAT, which is CAT 2, and the final one. We're going to have CAT 2, which is going to be a final CAT. Then from there, we shall meet in the exam room. I hope that one is clear. Tumesema kutoka hapo tutakutana kwa mtihani.